You're out running and you run into the problem that we all run into. You're getting tired. That's the crux of endurance running, resisting fatigue. So you're wondering, how do I run longer without getting so freaking tired? Well, that's what I'm going to share with you today here on this episode of Runner's High. Today I'm going to share with you a lot of physical strategies so you can run longer without getting tired. It's something that a lot of us deal with, and a lot of people talk about all the physical strategies that you need to run longer without getting tired. That's the crux, like I said, of the sport. But there is a lot of things you can do on the mental side to deal with the voices in your head that say stop running when you start to get fatigued. I talk about all that in a different video on how to run without stopping. So be sure to check that out if you want more mental strategies on how to become a better runner and not stop. So how do you actually run without getting so tired? The first kind of obvious thing to me is to periodize your schedule. If you're just going out for runs and not planning anything, or you're going to increase your mileage too quickly, often you're probably going to get too fatigued. So periodization is a method where you take a chunk of time and you schedule it to allow yourself to build up, build fatigue, and then recover. So for a long time, I was actually on what I refer to as a 3-1 schedule. 3 weeks of building work where you're working hard, you're doing speed work, whatever it is that's in your particular schedule, and then you get 1 week of a lower load, say 50 to 75% of the mileage you would normally do, and that week you recover. I now am on a 2-1 schedule. This is something my new coach that I picked up several years ago with him, he's been a fan of, and it's worked very, very well for me. So same idea, we work very hard for 2 weeks, and then I get 1 week of recovery. This allows you to actually become stronger over time. The periodization I can't talk. Don't mind me. The periodization prevents you from accumulating too much fatigue. When you have too much fatigue, then you're going to get tired even sooner. You get stronger through making micro tears in your muscles, then having that recovery time to rest so that your muscles can be rebuilt, and then you repeat the process over and over and over until we're dead. Okay, that took a left turn. I'm sorry about that. One strategy you can look at in particular, besides periodizing, which is a little bit more involved, is simply to run the same distance without increasing mileage. Now, I don't mean run the exact same distance every single day. Some people do that. Some people get away with that. But I mean, whatever your longest run is, say you're up to 3 miles, that's all you can do. Don't increase that mileage until you're running 3 miles comfortably. You want to make sure that you note in a log, whether it's online with something like Training Peaks, or you get a physical journal or a piece of paper or a whiteboard, whatever it is, you want to note what your RPE is. RPE is rate of perceived exertion. There are different scales that people use, but we can use 1 to 10 as an easy scale for us to go off of. 1 is like, I'm lying in bed and doing nothing. 10 is I physically can't go any harder at all. Feel free to use half increments. So I felt like a 6.5 today, or a 6.3 if you're that in touch with how you feel. But keeping track of that will give you a better idea when it's okay to move on. When you used to feel like a 7 or 8, and now you feel like maybe a 5 or a 6, then that may be a good indication that now it's time to add a little bit more. You are getting less tired as you're running the same distance, so it's okay to move on to the next distance that you want to move up to. It's also reasonable to note you may have a breakdown somewhere else. Your running may have nothing to do with why you're tired running, which is a little maybe backwards. You think, well, I should just be able to go out and freaking run. Like, what's the problem? But if you look at it from a kind of holistic perspective, you have to figure out, where's your breakdown? Are you an inexperienced runner? making a schedule that's maybe too advanced for you? Are you stressed at work? Did you take on a big project at work and you've been working overtime? Even if you're sitting at a desk, that overload on your brain and then on your body will sneak up on you and become an issue in your run when normally you might be perfectly fine. Even if you periodize that schedule like I told you to earlier in the video, that stress from work can add up. There are other stressors in your life that can make you more fatigued that you have to take into account. Have things come up with your family. And I don't even necessarily mean anything catastrophic, like a death in the family. It could just be, you had to run and get the kids from school because, your spouse was late, or, any number of other things that comes up with your family. Families come in all shapes and sizes, so I'm trying to come up with specific examples. But I don't know your family. And then another thing that can stress a lot of people out are finances. Are your finances okay? You don't need to tell me. It's just a question you need to ask yourself. Is that something that's been stressing you out? And that can lead to, negative impact on your running and other parts of your life. Even if we use running as an outlet, it still has an impact on each other. The running on life and life on running. If everything's fine in your normal life, outside of any kind of normal stressors, then the last thing for us to look at is just, what did you do yesterday? What did you do the last couple of days of, working out? Did you do some cross training? Were you in the gym hitting weights you weren't normally used to? Did you have a really hard run and you fatigued yourself on that? It's really a step-by-step process of trying to eliminate all of the things that would make you tired for your run. And then once you've identified that breakdown, that's when you can figure out, okay, this is what's limiting me from going forward. Be it that inexperience where you're taking on too much load at a time. Remember in another video I talked about how you don't want to increase your mileage more than 10% a week. And that's within the periodization. Keeping all of those things in mind, breaking everything down, that's how you become a better runner and you run without getting tired. I'll see you next time on the next episode of Runner's High.